Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Imagine being right there, plugged directly into the pulse of a nation, feeling its rhythm, understanding its daily triumphs, its pressing challenges, and those quiet, often unseen transformations. Well, today we're doing precisely that. We're embarking on a very special deep dive into India, a country of, well, staggering diversity and relentless dynamism, a place where the headlines themselves often tell a story far deeper than meets the eye.
That's exactly our mission today. We've basically taken a stack of the day's top stories, a collection of headlines from June 30th, 2025, gathered from across India's vast, incredibly varied landscape.
Right.
Our job is to go beyond the surface, to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight from each one, offering you a shortcut to truly understanding what's shaping one of the world's most vibrant democracies right now.
And when we say diverse, we absolutely mean it. We're talking about everything from the fervent passion of the cricket pitch to the deep intricacies of cultural heritage, from high-stakes geopolitical maneuvers and internal political power struggles, all the way to groundbreaking scientific discoveries that redefine human history.
Yeah, it's quite a mix.
Get ready for some surprising connections, some truly unique insights, and plenty of aha moments, because India, well, it never fails to deliver. Consider this your essential brief on the most impactful stories emerging from the subcontinent today.
Indeed. We're going to approach each major headline as its own distinct segment, really dissecting these top stories with our unique deep dive lens. Our aim is to make complex information digestible, provide crucial context you probably won't find in a quick scroll,
Exactly.
and leave you feeling truly well-informed about the currents shaping India's present and, well, its future.
The cricket conundrum, India's test team under scrutiny.
Okay, so let's kick things off with a topic that resonates, truly across every corner of India, touching the lives of billions. Cricket. Specifically, India's Test cricket team seems to be facing some significant headwinds and a lot of scrutiny under head coach Gautam Gambhir. This comes after, a rather disheartening defeat in the opening match of their England tour at Leeds. This isn't just a loss, it's a headline that's sparking intense national debate.
It absolutely is. The match itself painted a, let's say, concerning picture. India set a sizable target, 371 runs, which, in Test cricket should typically put a team in a pretty commanding position.
Right, you'd think so.
But they suffered a dramatic batting collapse in both innings, failed to capitalize on what seemed like a strong foundation. And on the bowling front, only Jasprit Bumrah really managed to stand out among the entire attack, which clearly points to a broader struggle within the team, both with bat and ball.
And this isn't just an isolated incident for Gambhir's tenure, is it? He took over as head coach in July 2024, so less than a year ago. And since then, his record in Test cricket has been, well, frankly, a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, underwhelming is probably fair. Looking at the numbers, India has only managed 3 Test wins under his leadership. 3? Just 3. That's a stark contrast to the expectations, for a team traditionally dominant in this format.
So put that into perspective for us. What were those wins?
Well, their victories came from a 2-0 home series win against Bangladesh, which, while positive, was kind of widely anticipated given Bangladesh's lower ranking.
Okay, expected.
The defeats, though, are far more telling. A crushing 0-3 whitewash by New Zealand away from home.
Ouch.
And a 1-3 loss in the high-stakes Australia series, even though they surprisingly won the opener in Perth. It's a striking disconnect, especially when you compare it to his success leading the team to that triumphant 2025 Champions Trophy campaign in the shorter format.
Right, so success in white ball, but struggling in tests.
Exactly. It begs the question, why the struggle in tests?
And this inconsistent test record has led to, mounting pressure on Gambhir, and the critics are getting vocal.
Oh, definitely. Former opener Akash Chopra, who's a respected and pretty influential voice in Indian cricket commentary, has openly voiced his profound concern.
What's he saying?
He pointed out that the selectors have apparently provided Gambhir with everything he could possibly ask for, all the resources, every preferred player he requested, yet the results in Test cricket simply aren't materializing.
No excuses then, really.
And Chopra's warning was pretty unequivocal, delivered with a directness that, resonated across the cricket world. He stated that if India performs poorly against England in this crucial series, deeper questions will arise about the team's overall direction and the effectiveness of its current leadership.
That sounds serious.
His definitive quote, "There are no excuses," truly encapsulates the growing sentiment among fans and former players alike. It highlights the belief that Look, all necessary conditions for success are present, and yet it's just not happening.
What's also crucial here, and maybe making things worse, is this undeniable leadership vacuum facing the test team right now.
Yeah, that's a big factor.
India is navigating this demanding period without two of its absolute stalwarts, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. Both legendary figures retired from Test cricket just before this England series.
It's a huge gap.
Massive. It leaves behind not just a massive gap in runs and wickets, but also this void in leadership, in experience, and just the sheer presence that defined India's previous era of dominance. That void, it appears, hasn't really been filled yet. It leaves the young team seeming a bit rudderless at times.
Yeah, you can see that. And with the second test against England starting on July 2nd, the pressure is just immense on Gambhir to turn things around immediately.
Yeah.
This series isn't just about winning a few matches.
No.
It's about reaffirming India's standing in the longest, most traditional format of the game, a format where they've historically excelled and which holds this unique reverence in the country. The team's performance here will directly influence the narrative around its future.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The Gambhir dilemma, it isn't just about wins and losses on a cricket pitch, right?
Not at all.
It's a fascinating microcosm of, maybe, India's national psyche. It reveals how profoundly a nation's identity is intertwined with its most beloved sport, and the almost impossible burden placed on leadership when cultural icons like Kohli and Sharma decide to step away. The real aha here is recognizing that in India, a cricket coach isn't just managing players.
Wow.
They're managing the hopes, the emotional investments, the collective spirit of over 1 billion people. It's a pressure cooker unlike any other in global sport. It truly highlights the unique pressures of leadership in such a passionate cultural context.
Well put. It's immense.
Civil-military dynamics, insights into India's May conflict decision-making.
Okay, from the intense scrutiny on the cricket pitch, let's shift to the very high-stakes world of national security and strategic decision-making. We've got a pretty significant headline concerning India's civil-military dynamics. During the early phase of the May conflict, India's political leadership reportedly refrained from authorizing strikes on Pakistani military bases. And this decision, according to a senior military official, contributed directly to the loss of several Indian fighter jets.
Wow, okay. That's a huge revelation. And a rather candid one, especially coming from a military official. The source here is Shiv Kumar, India's military attaché to Indonesia.
That's right. He made these remarks during a seminar on the India-Pakistan conflict at Universitas Dugantara Marsikul Surya Dharma in Jakarta back on June 10th.
For a military official to speak so openly about internal strategic limitations, does this admission hint at maybe a deeper, perhaps unaddressed tension between India's civilian leadership and its armed forces? What are the implications of such a public disclosure?
It's certainly a rare moment of, let's say, public transparency on a highly sensitive issue. Kumar specifically attributed these losses to political constraints that limited the military's operational scope.
Constraints, what kind?
Well, these limitations were quite precise, according to him. Indian forces were explicitly prohibited from targeting Pakistan's military establishments or their air defense systems.
So key targets were off limits.
Exactly. This, he argued, created a significant tactical disadvantage, essentially tying the military's hands and allowing Islamabad to, well, effectively retaliate without fear of direct counterstrikes on its core military infrastructure.
So essentially, the military's ability to respond was curtailed, preventing them from striking key strategic targets that might have altered the conflict's trajectory. This kind of admission really sheds a critical light on those internal civil-military dynamics in a nation like India.
It really does.
It vividly demonstrates how strategic decisions made at the highest civilian leadership level can profoundly shape battlefield outcomes, sometimes with severe and immediate consequences for military assets and personnel. It's a very delicate balance, isn't it, between political objectives and military efficacy?
It truly is. And while Kumar didn't disclose the precise number or type of aircraft lost, his statement strongly implies a deeper frustration perhaps within the military ranks.
You think so?
Well, it suggests a perceived prioritization of diplomatic or political considerations over tactical efficacy, a very sensitive and often debated point in any defense establishment globally. These comments have undoubtedly stirred significant interest and are likely sparking heated debate within India's defense and political circles. It probably forces a reevaluation of command and control structures during conflict.
And this disclosure also comes amidst, ongoing, often fraught tensions between these two nuclear-armed neighbors. We've seen periodic skirmishes, persistent diplomatic strains. It's a complex relationship.
Absolutely. The Bloomberg report, which brought Kumar's comments to light, underscores how the Indian military's rules of engagement were directly influenced by a broader political calculus. It points to this recurring theme of strategic restraint in South Asia, where the risk of escalation always looms large.
So what's fascinating here is how those political considerations are meticulously balanced against military effectiveness in these high-stakes conflicts, especially when two nuclear-armed nations are involved.
Exactly.
This offers a rare peek behind the curtain of national security decision-making, doesn't it? Where the overarching desire to avoid widespread escalation can directly impact tactical operations and, as we've heard, maybe even lead to losses. For you, the listener, it prompts a crucial question. At what precise point does strategic restraint, which is vital for de-escalation, become a tactical liability, potentially compromising the effectiveness of military operations? And how do nations navigate that incredibly fine line in the face of ongoing provocations?
That's the core dilemma, really. A very fine line indeed.
Geopolitical shifts strains in the U.S.-India strategic partnership.
That delicate dance of strategic restraint and tactical effectiveness, as we just explored in military terms, well, it has its parallel on the global diplomatic stage, where a different kind of balance is being tested. Let's shift our focus now to the once seemingly robust U.S.-India strategic partnership.
Right.
It's long been touted as a cornerstone of their respective foreign policies. But now it's showing notable signs of strain under President Trump's administration, according to an opinion piece by Derek Grossman. It suggests things aren't quite as smooth as they might appear on the surface.
That's a crucial observation, because on the surface, Prime Minister Modi's high-profile February visit to the White House earlier this year seemed to signal, unwavering strength in the relationship.
Yeah, he was only the fourth foreign leader to meet Trump at that point, right?
Exactly. Which is quite a distinction and typically seen as a mark of favor. But despite these initial appearances, Grossman argues that several distinct policy shifts from Washington have indeed raised tensions. It proves that optics can often be deceiving when it comes to the complex world of international relations.
Okay, so what are these shifts? Grossman highlights three major developments that have really tested India's diplomatic balance and forced New Delhi to, maybe, reconsider its strategic position.
What's the first one?
First, President Trump's unilateral decision to impose tariffs on Indian exports. That directly jeopardized bilateral trade ties. And this isn't just about goods. It's a significant blow to the broader framework of economic cooperation that underpins any strong partnership. Trade disputes, as we know, can quickly sour diplomatic goodwill.
Definitely. Okay, what else?
The second point Grossman raises concerns President Trump's controversial remarks on Kashmir. His suggestion of U.S. mediation in the long-disputed region sparked immediate and profound unease in New Delhi.
Oh, I remember that. India was not happy.
Not at all. India firmly views Kashmir as a strictly internal matter, not subject to external intervention or mediation by any third party, let alone a strategic partner. This was perceived as a clear diplomatic misstep, potentially undermining India's sovereignty in its own eyes.
Right. And the third point?
And the third major development involves Washington's recent overtures toward Pakistan. Amidst South Asia's already sensitive and, frankly, volatile security landscape, these actions directly challenge India's strategic position and further complicate the region's already fraught diplomatic landscape.
So it creates a sense of imbalance for India when its perceived strategic partner is seen to be engaging more closely with a regional rival.
Exactly. It could potentially embolden Islamabad and diminish New Delhi's influence, or at least that's the concern.
Got it. So these accumulating issues are clearly pushing India to reassess its long-standing alignment with the U.S.
Seems like it.
The partnership has traditionally been rooted in, shared democratic values and mutual strategic interests, particularly the overarching goal of countering China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific.
Right, that's always been key.
However, Grossman's core argument is that while the relationship remains fundamentally important, these fissures reveal it's not immune to the raw, often unpredictable forces of realpolitik and, abrupt policy shifts emanating from Washington.
So, India now faces this complex and delicate task, balancing its essential engagement with the U.S. while simultaneously safeguarding its core national interests and strategic autonomy.
A tricky balancing act.
Very. Grossman suggests that New Delhi may well need to adopt an even more diversified foreign policy approach to avoid over-reliance on a partner whose priorities can change rapidly and, as we've seen, somewhat unpredictably with a new administration.
What this ultimately reveals, I think, is how quickly established international relationships can be recalibrated by new administrations, and how nations like India must constantly adapt their strategic thinking in response.
Yeah.
For you, the listener, it's a powerful lesson in global diplomatic fluidity. It reminds us that even the strongest alliances aren't static. They are dynamic, constantly tested, and require ongoing reassessment in a rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape. It really underscores the critical need for agility and foresight in international relations.
Absolutely. Constant adaptation.
Political mobilization, RJD's Save WAF, Save Constitution rally in Bihar.
Okay, from the broad strokes of international relations, let's now zoom right in to the intricate tapestry of internal Indian politics, specifically in the crucial state of Bihar.
Right.
At a high-profile rally in Patna on June 29th, Rashtriya Janata Dal, or RJD, leader Tejashwi Yadav, delivered a pretty strong critique of the ruling National Democratic Alliance, the NDA, in Bihar. And more significantly, he vowed to repeal the central government's controversial WAC Act if his Mahagathbandhan alliance comes to power.
This rally, interestingly named the Save WAC, Save Constitution rally, took place at the historic Gandhi Maidan, a venue steeped in Indian political history. Tejashwi Yadav was quite emphatic in his address.
What does he say?
He declared with conviction that the NDA was on its way out. He pledged that a new pro-poor government, if his alliance were to win, would basically consign to dustbin this controversial law, which was introduced by the Narendra Modi-led central administration.
So a strong stance against the WAF Act. Did he elaborate on RJD's position?
Yeah, Yadav made it explicitly clear that the RJD had consistently opposed the WAC Act, not just in public forums, but actively in parliament, and had even taken legal action against it.
Okay.
He used the rally as a powerful platform to urge Muslim voters, who are a significant demographic in Bihar, to remember this commitment during the upcoming state assembly elections. And as a visible, symbolic sign of their protest and solidarity, leaders from various parties, including Yadav himself, wore black bands during the event.
Right, drawing attention to the issue.
Exactly. And beyond the specifics of the WAC Act, Yadav also expanded his concerns. He raised questions about potential manipulation of voter rolls by the Election Commission, urging his supporters to remain vigilant against any attempts to, undermine the democratic process.
Interesting.
He powerfully invoked India's shared legacy of freedom, cautioning against communal posturing and unequivocally asserting that no single group holds exclusive ownership over the nation, a clear and resonant message in India's diverse and often polarized democracy.
And it wasn't just RJD voices there, right? It seemed like a show of opposition unity.
Very much so. Congress leader Salman Khurshid also addressed the event, emphasizing the paramount importance of protecting India's pluralistic values. He thoughtfully recalled his own familial ties to Bihar, which lent a personal touch to his appeal.
Who else was there?
The rally saw several other notable attendees, signaling this growing sense of broad opposition unity. We had Congress MPs Imran Pratapgarhi and Syed Nasser Hussain, Independent MP Rajesh Ranjan, widely known as Papu Yadav, and even AMIM leader Akhtarul Eman, all standing together on a common platform.
That's quite a mix.
It is. This rally clearly showcased not only that growing opposition unity, but also their concerted efforts to frame the WAC Act as a broader threat, a threat to minority rights and constitutional values.
And this is all happening in the run-up to Bihar's state elections.
Precisely. It's a classic and potent example of how a specific legislative act, in this case, one governing religious endowments and properties that critics argue over-centralizes control and infringes on minority autonomy, can become a flashpoint for much broader political and social debates.
Especially concerning minority rights and constitutional values.
Exactly. Within a diverse democracy like India, it demonstrates how political parties mobilize their bases around issues that resonate deeply with different communities, and how they attempt to shape the narrative for electoral gain and arguably define the very identity of the nation.
Fascinating political maneuvering.
Campus safety and accountability, the South Calcutta Law College gang rape case.
Next, we need to turn to a deeply troubling headline concerning campus safety and the systemic issues surrounding accountability. Manojit Mishra, the primary accused in the gang rape of a first-year law student at South Calcutta Law College, apparently has a documented history of violence and harassment.
Oh, that's disturbing.
It's a disturbing fact that has now come to light through a former college friend, Titus Manna.
This segment really unveils a well, a disturbing reality. In an interview with India Today TV, Titus Manna revealed that Mishra had a long-established history of intimidating students on campus, particularly women.
Hmm.
What's even more concerning, and truly begs the question of accountability, is that he often seemed to avoid repercussions because of his significant influence as a leader within the Trinamool Congress Chhatra Parishad, or TMCP.
Your student wing of the ruling party.
Exactly, the student wing of the ruling Trinamool Congress Party. This kind of unchecked power just highlights the systemic issues potentially at play here.
Indeed. Manna's friendship with Mishra apparently began back in 2012 through their shared involvement with TMCP, but it soured significantly after a very serious incident in 2013.
What happened?
Mishra allegedly stabbed a catering worker, severing a finger. An attempted murder case was subsequently filed against him.
Attempted murder? That's incredibly serious.
It is. Clearly not a minor incident, but a violent felony that should have had immediate and severe consequences.
And yet, the repercussions, or perhaps the lack thereof, sound truly alarming. Mishra reportedly disappeared from campus for years, only to make a quiet return after the matter was, as described, quietly resolved. Then, even more surprisingly, in 2017, when he tried to re-enter student politics, TMCP leaders did acknowledge his criminal past and blocked his participation.
Okay, so they did block him then.
They blocked him from leadership, yes, allowing him only to attend classes, but explicitly barring him from holding any leadership roles, an arrangement he reportedly resented. But it still raises serious questions about why he was allowed back on campus at all, given his violent history and a filed attempted murder case.
That's a very fair question. Titus Manna was quite clear in her interview, emphasizing that both the general student body and the official TMCP leadership in South Calcutta had, over time, distanced themselves from Mishra and explicitly denied him any political responsibilities due to his known violent tendencies.
But it wasn't enough, apparently.
Well, these collective revelations raise critical concerns about institutional accountability. It powerfully highlights how the influence of political affiliations on college campuses can, perhaps inadvertently, create environments where individuals with known histories of misconduct can, for far too long, evade decisive action, potentially putting other students at risk.
The case has, quite rightly, sparked widespread public outrage across India, hasn't it?
Absolutely. It's brought to the forefront the broader, deeply urgent issue of women's safety in educational institutions. It starkly underlines the immense challenges posed by politically connected perpetrators who somehow manage to evade scrutiny, often with devastating, life-altering consequences for other students.
So Mishra's past is now under intense scrutiny.
Yes, renewed and intense examination. And there are strong, pervasive calls for justice, as well as for fundamental systemic reform within the college and across similar institutions nationwide, to ensure such failures of accountability never happen again.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? This case isn't just about one single horrific crime, is it?
No, it goes much deeper. It's a stark spotlight on systemic issues within institutions specifically, how power dynamics, political connections, and past failures of accountability can have truly devastating consequences for student safety.
It's a powerful and urgent call for reform, then.
Absolutely. Prompting a critical examination of campus environments across India, ensuring that political influence never, ever trumps the fundamental safety and well-being of students. It's a reminder that justice requires constant vigilance and systemic integrity.
A very sobering story.
Regional Security Pakistan's army chief issues a stern warning to India.
Okay, let's pivot back now to the delicate and often volatile balance of regional security in South Asia. At a recent military graduation ceremony, Pakistan's army chief, Field Marshal Asim Munir, issued a stern and unequivocal warning to India.
Okay.
He accused India of unprovoked aggression and vowed a swift and befitting response to any future hostilities. This is a very significant statement, particularly coming from such a high-ranking military official in a nuclear-armed nation.
It certainly is, and the tone sounds uncompromising. Speaking at the passing out parade, Field Marshal Munir didn't mince words. He criticized India for allegedly using its strategic relevance, referring to its growing global standing and partnerships,
Right.
to engage in what he termed acts of adventurism for domestic political gain.
For domestic political gain.
That's the accusation. It suggests a deep-seated perception from Pakistan's side that India's actions are deliberately provocative and potentially driven by internal political calculations, a common narrative, frankly, in their bilateral relations.
Munir also emphasized Pakistan's past restraint, didn't he? Saying that despite provocations, the country has acted responsibly.
Yes, he did. He stressed their commitment to regional peace and stability, However, his remarks appear to reflect clearly growing tensions between the two nuclear-armed neighbors and unequivocally signal a more assertive posture by Pakistan's military leadership amidst recent geopolitical friction.
So this isn't just rhetoric, it's strategic communication, signaling a potential shift.
It certainly feels like it. It signals a potential shift in their readiness and response doctrine. The Army chief's comments come at a time when both nations are grappling with their own internal and external pressures, ongoing border incidents, differing interpretations of history, competing narratives on regional security.
Too complex mix.
Exactly. Munir's accusation that Pakistan views India's actions as deliberate attempts to inflame tensions for domestic political leverage is key to understanding Pakistan's public stance and its justification for this more assertive posture. It's about shaping perceptions, both domestically and internationally.
And his strong rhetoric serves multiple purposes, I suppose.
I think so. It reinforces Pakistan's traditional stance on maintaining high readiness to counter any perceived threat, and it visibly highlights its military's central and often decisive role in shaping the nation's foreign policy and strategic outlook.
Did he cite any specific incident?
No, apparently no specific incident was cited as the direct basis for Munir's statement. But this clear warning is undoubtedly likely to raise diplomatic concerns in capitals worldwide and significantly amplify the security discourse across South Asia.
Given the historical volatility where miscalculations can have catastrophic consequences.
Precisely. These comments may very well influence upcoming policy decisions, defense postures, maybe even international mediation efforts aimed at de-escalation.
What's fascinating here is how public statements by military leaders can so profoundly shape the narrative and directly influence the security climate between nuclear-armed neighbors.
Absolutely. It vividly underscores the persistent fragility of India-Pakistan relations and the extreme strategic caution required by both sides to avoid any escalation. For you, the listener, it's a crucial reminder of ongoing geopolitical tensions and the delicate dance of deterrence in a nuclearized region where every single word can carry immense weight.
A very tense situation, as always.
Internal party politics, BJP-RSS deadlock over national presidency.
Shifting gears once more, let's dive deep into India's internal political machinery, specifically focusing on the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP.
Okay.
The party is currently experiencing a prolonged internal deadlock with its ideological parent, the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, or RSS, the sticking point, the crucial selection of a new national president for the BJP. This has left the party's leadership structure in a state of surprising flux.
That's a critical and highly unusual situation, isn't it? Especially for a party usually seen as disciplined as the BJP. JP Nadda's tenure as BJP president officially ended way back in January 2023.
Right, but it was extended for the election.
Exactly. It was extended through June 2024, specifically to lead the party through the momentous general elections. But that term has now definitively concluded. Yet, despite the clear expiry of his term, the leadership still hasn't announced a successor.
Which creates this vacuum.
A significant and somewhat unprecedented vacuum at the very top of the party's organizational hierarchy.
Have there been any suggestions on how to handle it?
Well, party sources have floated the idea that appointing a working president could provide some immediate clarity and stability. They're drawing a parallel to the 2019 interim leadership model.
When Amit Shah was president and Nadda was working president.
Precisely. Before Nadda's formal elevation. This kind of arrangement often signals that internal negotiations are proving far more complex and time-consuming than maybe initially anticipated. It suggests various factions or ideological currents are vying for influence.
And the RSS, as the BJP's ideological parent, is playing a big role here.
A very significant role, yes. They have reportedly communicated their preferences with clear intent. They're emphasizing the paramount need for a leader with strong organizational capabilities.
Organizational skills.
Yes, over one chosen primarily for political optics or just public appeal. This points to a desire from the RSS for deep, effective governance and efficient party management, rather than just a public face or a charismatic figure. It indicates a focus on foundational strength.
And it's not just about the presidency. The RSS is pushing for broader reforms, too.
That's what's reported. Beyond just the presidency, the RSS is advocating for broader organizational and even governmental reforms within the BJP structure. This strongly suggests that the party leadership transition isn't an isolated event.
It's part of something bigger.
Exactly. It's intended to be part of a much larger overhaul, indicating a deeper, more strategic conversation about the BJP's future direction its organizational structure, and perhaps even its ideological priorities moving forward.
When will these issues be discussed?
Well, these critical issues, encompassing both the party presidency and broader reforms, are expected to be thoroughly discussed at the upcoming Akhil Bharatiya Pracharak Baithak.
That sounds important.
It's an incredibly important RSS meeting scheduled for July 4th to 6th in Delhi. This gathering will be attended by RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat himself, along with other top functionaries, signifying the high-level and deeply significant nature of these internal discussions for the future trajectory of the BJP.
And once a president is chosen, we can expect a reshuffle.
That's what senior BJP leaders indicate. The new president, once appointed, will oversee a major and comprehensive reshuffle within the party. This could involve significantly replacing nearly half of the current national general secretaries.
Wow, half!
Potentially, and strategically appointing younger, fresher leaders to revitalize the party ahead of critical upcoming state elections. Adjustments to the party's powerful parliamentary board are also under active consideration, all aimed at reinforcing the BJP's organizational strength and preparing it for future electoral battles.
This prolonged delay clearly underscores deeper ideological negotiations and power dynamics within the Sangh Parivar, doesn't it? The larger family of organizations.
Absolutely. What this raises is an important question for you, the listener.
Yeah.
How do these intricate internal power dynamics and ideological negotiations within a ruling party's parent organization profoundly influence a nation's political trajectory and its future leadership? It's a deep dive into the inner workings of India's formidable political machinery, revealing that even seemingly straightforward leadership changes can be fraught with complex internal negotiations that send ripple effects throughout the entire governance structure of a nation.
Fascinating look behind the curtain.
Progress and Welfare PM Modi's Mann Ki Baat highlights India's social security reach.
Okay, let's shift our focus now to progress and significant welfare initiatives within India, showcasing the scale of national development. During his June 29th Mann Ki Baat address, his popular monthly radio program, Prime Minister Narendra Modi made a highly significant announcement.
What was that?
Approximately 95 crore Indians, that's a staggering 950 million people, now benefit from some form of social security scheme. This represents a massive, almost unprecedented leap in social coverage.
Wow, 95 crore. That's a truly dramatic expansion, underscoring a significant policy shift. The Prime Minister highlighted that this figure represents a sharp increase from fewer than 25 crore beneficiaries back in 2015.
Huge increase.
Huge. Citing a recent International Labor Organization, or ILO, report, Modi proudly noted that over 64% of India's vast population is now covered by social protection measures. He framed this remarkable development as a major leap toward inclusive governance and, notably, characterized it as one of the world's largest social protection coverages, a testament to the scale of the effort.
How did he explain this expansion?
He attributed this monumental expansion to the government's unwavering commitment to achieving saturation across various key sectors, including health and welfare. Modi specifically described this achievement as a reflection of social justice, articulating strong confidence in a stronger, more equitable India taking shape through these widespread welfare programs.
So the idea is reaching everyone.
It suggests a strategic intent to leave no one behind in India's developmental journey, ensuring that the benefits of growth reach the broadest possible population.
And it wasn't just Social Security. He also mentioned a public health milestone.
That's right. Beyond the broad strokes of Social Security, Modi also celebrated a significant public health milestone: the World Health Organization's official recognition of India as being trachoma-free.
Trachoma-free? Okay.
He described this as a remarkable milestone in public health history for the nation and lauded the tireless, dedicated efforts of countless healthcare workers who contributed to eliminating this highly contagious bacterial infection, which was once a leading cause of preventable blindness across the country. It's a testament to sustained public health campaigns.
So the Mann Ki Baat address covered quite a bit, not just government schemes.
No, it wasn't solely focused on government schemes or public health statistics. Modi also took time to acknowledge the vital efforts of individuals and local communities actively involved in conservation efforts, positioning them as agents of change, safeguarding the nation's natural future.
Nice touch.
He extended his warm wishes to pilgrims participating in religious journeys and specifically praised those working tirelessly to ensure their safety and success during these mass movements.
And something about cultural diplomacy, too.
Yes, in a nod to India's enduring soft power and cultural diplomacy, He mentioned expressions of profound gratitude from Vietnamese citizens for the recent display of Bhagwan Buddha's sacred relics in Vietnam. This, he emphasized, highlighted the deep and enduring cultural ties that India shares with nations across Asia and beyond, showcasing how ancient heritage can foster modern goodwill.
What's truly fascinating here is the sheer scale of these social programs and their potential transformative impact on the lives of millions.
It's enormous.
For you, the listener, it provides a vivid sense of the immense developmental changes currently underway in India, touching on core aspects like welfare, public health, and even extending into cultural diplomacy. It paints a picture of a nation striving for comprehensive progress, greater inclusivity, and leveraging its past to shape its future on the global stage.
A very broad-ranging update.
Economic optimism, India's early and abundant monsoon forecasts positive outlook.
Okay, moving to an absolutely fundamental aspect of India's economy, and indeed its very rhythm of life, the monsoon. We have some very optimistic news on this front.
Oh, good. What is it?
India's annual monsoon rains have blanketed the entire country a remarkable 9 days ahead of its typical schedule. The India Meteorological Department, or IMD, announced this significant development on June 29, 2025.
9 days early. That is significant, perhaps more than almost any other weather phenomenon globally, especially for India's predominantly agrarian economy.
Exactly.
It's a well-known fact that nearly half of the country's vast farmland relies solely and directly on monsoon rains for irrigation because it lacks alternative, more reliable sources. So a good, timely, abundant monsoon isn't just about good weather.
No, it's critical.
It's absolutely critical for the livelihoods of hundreds of millions of farmers and for the nation's food security.
Absolutely. Typically, the monsoon begins its journey down in the southwestern state of Kerala around June 1st and gradually spreads northward, usually covering the whole country by July 8th. This year, however, the rains advanced rapidly, sweeping into the remaining northwestern regions with surprising speed. This boosted overall rainfall to an impressive 8% above average for the month of June.
8% above average already.
Yeah. Furthermore, the IMD had already forecast above-average rainfall for the second consecutive year, which is incredibly reassuring for farmers, policymakers, and, frankly, the entire national economy.
So this timely and above-normal monsoon, it's already having an impact on planting.
Yes, it's already triggered earlier than usual planting of crucial summer crops, the Kharif crops. These include staples like rice, corn, cotton, soybeans, and sugarcane.
The backbone of the rural economy.
Absolutely. These crops form the very backbone of India's rural economy and are directly linked to the prosperity of its vast farming population. The early sowing significantly increases the likelihood of higher yields and, crucially, enhances food security for the entire nation, reducing the risk of shortages.
And it helps beyond just the farms, right? Replenishing water sources.
Definitely. Beyond agriculture, the abundant rains also contribute positively to replenishing aquifers and reservoirs. These are absolutely critical for drinking water supply across urban and rural areas, as well as for sustained irrigation in the dry months ahead.
The broader economic implications must be massive.
Huge. Agricultural activity tied directly to the monsoon is essential not only for farmers' livelihoods, but also for national economic stability. It contributes a significant percentage to GDP and for the smooth functioning of food supply chains across the country.
So this IMD update reinforces optimism for a productive Kharif season. Good harvests, stable food supply.
That's the hope. This, in turn, may also help ease inflationary pressures on food prices, which is a constant and pressing concern for households, particularly lower-income families.
And India's nearly $4 trillion economy is still heavily influenced by agriculture.
Very much so. It's still a significant part of GDP and employment. So this early and robust monsoon coverage sets a hopeful tone for sustained economic momentum and increased rural resilience through the remainder of 2025.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It's a powerful illustration, isn't it, of how natural phenomena can directly and profoundly influence the economic health, food security, and overall well-being of a nation as vast and populous as India.
Absolutely.
This isn't just about weather patterns, it's about the very backbone of a vast economy. It demonstrates how its most fundamental elements can either set the stage for widespread prosperity or present significant challenges. It's a reminder of that powerful, direct link between nature and national destiny.
Couldn't agree more. A fundamental connection.
Groundbreaking science unlocking ancient human history through Indian DNA.
All right, moving from the natural world and economic stability to cutting-edge science.
Yeah.
We have a truly groundbreaking study led by researchers at UC Berkeley.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
They've managed to reconstruct approximately 50% of the Neanderthal genome and 20% of the Denisovan genome. It's those ancient human relatives who once coexisted with early modern humans.
Right, Neanderthals and Denisovans.
Using DNA from an astonishing 2,762 diverse Indian individuals. This is a monumental scientific achievement that really changes our understanding of human history.
Wow, 50% of the Neanderthal genome from modern Indian DNA. That is landmark stuff. Published in the prestigious journal Cell, this research leveraged data from the Longitudinal Aging Study in India, or LSI, and Lassie Dad. They mapped an incredible 50,000 years of evolutionary history.
Incredible.
It's a deep dive into our ancient past, using the most modern genetic tools, offering insights that were previously thought, well, pretty much impossible.
And the study underscores India's vast and unique genetic diversity, right? Shaped by these complex ancient population movements.
Exactly. Contributions from Neolithic Iranian farmers, Eurasian steppe pastoralists, indigenous South Asian hunter-gatherers. It's a complex mix. What's even more fascinating is that researchers found India harbors the highest variation in Neanderthal ancestry among all non-Africans studied.
Highest variation, what does that tell us?
Well, it offers unprecedented insight into how these ancient interbreeding events continue to influence modern human health and genetic predispositions. It reveals a deeper connection to our ancient relatives than previously understood, and that connection varies significantly within India.
The study also connects genetic variation to social patterns.
Yes, it powerfully emphasizes how genetic variation in India aligns closely with linguistic, geographic, and historical social divisions. It reveals the profound effects of historical isolation and phenomena like caste endogamy, where people traditionally marry within their social group.
And that has health implications.
Unfortunately, yes. These patterns also increase susceptibility to certain recessive diseases. This highlights the urgent need for community-specific health research and precision medicine approaches tailored to India's unique genetic landscape, enabling more targeted and effective healthcare.
How did they ensure they captured India's diversity in the study?
The research methodology itself was meticulous. Researchers ensured linguistic and regional representation in their sampling, which helped minimize bias and better capture India's incredibly rich and diverse genetic fabric. This detailed map of archaic ancestry also profoundly informs how inherited genes impact immunity and disease risk.
For example,
Specific Neanderthal-derived genes are known to influence immune responses in present-day Indians, offering clues to modern disease susceptibility.
and this fills a gap in global studies because there wasn't much ancient DNA from South Asia.
Exactly. Despite the historical limitation of ancient DNA from South and Central Asia, which has long been a gap in global genomic studies, this study provides a foundational framework for refining ancestry estimates and understanding genetic adaptations within these populations. It bridges a critical gap in our understanding of global human migration.
What's next for the research team?
The team aims to deepen this research by sequencing more ancient genomes and further analyzing the LAC-DAD cohort. That promises even more breakthroughs in our understanding of human evolution and health.
The core insight here is how modern genetic studies are not only revealing ancient human history in unprecedented detail, but also directly impacting our understanding of health and disease today.
Precisely. This study positions India as a crucial locus for evolutionary genetics and undeniably underlines the critical importance of including historically underrepresented populations in global genomic studies. We need that to achieve a truly comprehensive understanding of human genetic diversity and its implications for medicine and public health worldwide.
Truly fascinating science with real-world implications.
Cultural heritage versus global brands, the Prada toe ring sandals controversy.
Now let's explore a fascinating intersection of high fashion, deep cultural heritage, and the ongoing debate surrounding intellectual property. Prada's recent debut of toe ring sandals at its Spring-Summer 2026 men's collection in Milan has sparked significant backlash.
Oh, why is that?
The reason: their striking resemblance to traditional Indian kolhapuri chappals, a centuries-old handcrafted footwear.
Kolhapuris. I know those. So this hits right at the heart of that ongoing, often contentious debate about cultural appropriation versus genuine appreciation, doesn't it?
It really does. While Prada did issue a statement acknowledging that its design was inspired by Indian handcrafted footwear.
Inspired by.
Right. Many critics argue, often quite vehemently, that this exemplifies appropriation, This is where cultural elements are taken without proper credit, without deep understanding, and crucially, without reciprocal benefit flowing back to the originators. It essentially commodifies another culture's heritage.
And this issue is amplified by a very specific detail, isn't it? The GI tag.
Exactly. Traditional Indian Kolhapuri chapels received a geographical indication, or GI tag, back in 2019. This tag legally recognizes them as products made exclusively in 8 specific districts across Maharashtra and Karnataka. It protects their authenticity, quality, and origin, similar to how champagne is protected in France.
But Prada didn't call them Kolhapuri.
No. Prada's failure to name the product Kolhapuri means they technically avoid direct GI infringement, but it clearly shines a light on a much deeper systemic problem in the global fashion industry: how traditional knowledge is often co-opted.
That deeper issue being how Western luxury brands frequently appropriate unique Indian crafts, like Banarasi weaves, Ajrak prints.
Exactly. Or these Kolhapuri chapels, without providing proper, transparent credit or, more importantly, fair compensation to the original artisans. These rebranded items are then marketed as exotic luxury goods, often at exorbitant prices that bear no resemblance to the cost of local production,
Completely bypassing the artisans and communities who originated them.
whose livelihoods directly depend on these crafts.
And Indian artisans face huge challenges competing globally, right, despite their skills.
Immense systemic challenges. They primarily lack the resources to brand and position their unique products effectively in competitive global luxury markets. They also struggle significantly with limited access to capital, weak intellectual property enforcement mechanisms within India, and, frankly, historical systemic neglect.
Are there agencies trying to help?
Yes, agencies like NABARD and LIDCOM do offer some support, but their efforts remain fragmented and largely localized. And critically, legal recourse for GI infringement is simply too expensive and inaccessible for small producers without significant government intervention and sustained institutional backing.
So what's the proposed solution? The article urges India to invest strategically.
Yes, strategically and substantially, in branding its cultural products, pursuing global trademark enforcement, and forging robust public-private partnerships that can genuinely elevate artisanship to its rightful place on the global stage.
And there's a perception challenge within India, too.
Yes, domestically, there's also this pervasive perception challenge. Cultural products are often paradoxically undervalued as too desi, too local or traditional, for premium markets within India itself. This is a perception that absolutely needs to shift for these crafts to thrive and gain premium recognition within their own country.
What about using e-commerce?
A key proposal highlighted is to leverage the immense reach of e-commerce giants like Flipkart to globally market such products. This would ensure that artisans receive not only rightful recognition for their genius, but also a fair and equitable share of the revenue.
Without this kind of support, Indian craftsmanship risks being sidelined.
Exactly. Sidelined and exploited in the global luxury fashion narrative. This raises an important question for you, the listener. How do we effectively protect, promote, and fairly compensate cultural heritage in a globalized, commercialized world? How do we ensure that tradition meets modernity on equitable terms? It's a fascinating and urgent look at the intersection of fashion, intellectual property rights, and economic justice for communities built on artistry.
Really important questions to consider.
Tech innovation, AMD, India's Grant Fuels, Asia Vision's semiconductor ambitions.
Okay, now let's pivot to a story of cutting-edge technology and strategic innovation, highlighting India's burgeoning role in the global tech landscape. AMD India, the Indian arm of the global semiconductor giant,
AMD, big name.
has recently awarded a significant corporate social responsibility, or CSR, grant to a Bengaluru-based deep tech startup called Agi Vision.
Agi Vision, okay.
This grant is specifically aimed at accelerating innovation in critical areas: semiconductor design and advanced AI-powered radar systems. This is a huge and strategic boost for India's technological ambitions.
That is indeed a very significant development. It reflects a strategic alignment between corporate support and national tech goals. Agi Vision sounds like a fascinating startup. Incubated at the Foundation for Science, Innovation and Development, FSID, which is itself housed at the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, ASC.
Right, IS Bangalore, a top institution.
Exactly, a hub of academic research. They're developing a comprehensive radar-on-chip solution. That's an integrated technology bringing together custom chipsets, sophisticated radar hardware, and advanced AI algorithms. It leverages frequency-modulated continuous wave, or FMCW radar.
What can this technology do?
This system is capable of delivering incredibly high-resolution imaging and real-time data analysis. and it functions reliably in diverse and challenging conditions, including low light and all-weather environments, making it incredibly versatile.
What are the target applications? Sounds like it could be useful in many areas.
They are broad and deeply impactful, aligning perfectly with India's rapid modernization. We're talking about enhanced civilian security systems, the development of smart infrastructure for rapidly growing urban centers.
Smart cities.
Exactly. The foundation for next-generation 6G sensor networks and advanced edge computing capabilities. This makes their solution critical for India's rapidly growing smart cities and its broader connected ecosystem.
And the tech itself, is it efficient?
Crucially, the innovations aim to be low power, cost-effective, and highly adaptable for real-time control, all essential attributes for future-ready sensing platforms that need to be deployed at scale.
So this CSR grant from AMD announced June 26, it builds on existing research.
Yes, it isn't just a singular infusion of capital. It strategically builds upon more than 7 years of foundational research already conducted at ISE, leveraging existing intellectual capital.
Smart.
The grant will support both vital R&D efforts and crucial commercialization endeavors. And it's further bolstered by invaluable mentorship from AMD's own experts in edge computing and semiconductor systems, providing Agya Vision with deep industry insight.
And this fits into India's broader semiconductor mission.
Perfectly. This partnership aligns exactly with India's broader and highly ambitious semiconductor mission, which aims to establish the nation as a global leader in electronic design and manufacturing, moving beyond just assembly.
Professor B. Gurumurthy at FSID emphasized the strategic importance of these collaborations.
Yes, he keenly emphasized how crucial such initiatives are in nurturing India's deep tech capabilities, which are vital for long-term economic and national security. The AMD Age of Vision initiative is clearly set to push existing boundaries in imaging, sensing, and connectivity technologies.
So ultimately, this contributes to India's tech self-reliance.
That's the goal. It's expected to contribute significantly to India's technological self-reliance, a key national objective, and strategically position the country at the forefront of next-generation semiconductor innovations, making it a critical player in the global technology arena.
What's truly fascinating here is seeing how corporate social responsibility, when strategically deployed, can directly fuel cutting-edge technological advancements and simultaneously support national strategic goals.
It's a great example.
For you, the listener, it highlights India's ambitious push towards self-reliance and leadership in critical tech sectors like semiconductors and AI. It demonstrates that targeted investments today can profoundly shape a nation's technological future and its global competitiveness. It's a story of innovation, partnership, and national ambition converging.
Really positive development there.
Societal trends, India's evolving eating habits. Tradition meets modern wellness.
Finally, let's explore a fascinating societal trend that touches everyone, every single day. India's eating habits. They're currently undergoing a profound and dynamic transformation. It's a vibrant blend of deep-seated tradition meeting modern aspirations and global influences.
Yeah, you really see this happening.
It's a culinary evolution happening right before our eyes.
That's absolutely right. And what's driving this significant change is the increasing paramount importance of health and nutrition. This now dictates food choices across not just the big urban centers, but increasingly in Tier 2 and even some Tier 3 cities.
What's spurring that?
This shift is largely spurred by the pervasive influence of social media, the rise of influential wellness gurus and health influencers, and definitely a heightened post-pandemic consciousness about personal health and immunity. People are simply more aware and proactive about what they consume.
And we're seeing the emergence of superfoods becoming mainstream, things that used to be niche.
Exactly. Items like quinoa, kale, avocados, various nut butters, things which were once considered niche, maybe expensive and exclusive to only the most affluent, are rapidly becoming household staples.
And tracking protein intake, that's new.
It is. Families are increasingly tracking their protein intake, a concept almost unheard of a decade ago in many households, and incorporating products like whey isolate into their diets. That's a significant departure from traditional eating patterns, signifying a more globalized approach to diet.
Brands must be adapting to this shift.
Yeah.
And maybe fueling it.
Oh, definitely. Both adapting and fueling. Major players in India's food industry, like Amul, ITC, Marico, they're actively capitalizing on and accelerating this trend by expanding their high-protein and millet-based product lines.
Retailers are seeing demand rise, too.
Yes, retailers such as Reliance and Trent are reporting a surge in demand for nutrient-rich foods, and importantly, this isn't just among premium demographics, it's reaching a much broader consumer base, signaling a widespread change in palate.
And convenience is a factor, too.
A huge factor. Packaged curd, branded chays, buttermilk, ready-to-eat rotis are increasingly replacing home-prepared versions to fit into fast-paced, modern lives that demand quick solutions.
But it's important to note, Indian consumers aren't totally abandoning tradition, are they? It's more like reimagining it.
That's a great way to put it. They are creatively reimagining tradition. Ancient grains and millets like ragi and jowar, which have been cultivated in India for millennia, are being consciously revived and often promoted as new indigenous superfoods, giving them a contemporary appeal.
So old becomes new again.
Pretty much. Traditional practices like setting curd at home are now supplemented with modern, convenient alternatives. And interestingly, social media-savvy youth often act as crucial food influencers within their own homes, encouraging parents and older family members to embrace things like ragi chips or quinoa puffs, bridging those generational divides in eating habits.
But experts are also issuing some cautions alongside this evolution.
Yes, that's important too. Gastroenterologists, for instance, warn against blindly adopting global food fads without fully understanding individual nutritional needs and digestive systems. They specifically advise against over-reliance on highly processed protein powders and imported trends that may not suit every Indian digestive system, which is often accustomed to a different dietary profile.
What do nutritionists recommend?
Nutritionists and fitness experts largely advocate a return to simple, local, and seasonal foods. They stress that traditional Indian staples like amaranth and bajra are often far more nutritious and bioavailable than some exotic imports that come with a hefty price tag and carbon footprint.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? This isn't just about what people are putting on their plates, is it?
Not at all. It's a fascinating look at how global health trends, the pervasive influence of social media, and the relentless demand for convenience are interacting with deeply embedded cultural food traditions.
Creating this dynamic, evolving culinary landscape.
Exactly. A dynamic, evolving, and often complex culinary landscape in India, one that reflects a nation grappling with its past, present, and future. And perhaps it prompts us all to reflect on our own food choices and the delicate balance between tradition and modernity in our daily diets, considering what truly nourishes us.
Lots to chew on there, literally. Outro.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the headlines of June 30th, it's truly remarkable, isn't it, to reflect on the incredible range of topics we've managed to cover today.
It really is. We've traversed from the intense scrutiny faced by India's cricket team all the way to the ancient genetic codes discovered within its diverse population.
We've explored the high stakes of political power struggles, the nuanced strategic decisions shaping national security.
And we've touched upon everything from the foundational impact of the monsoon's embrace on the economy, right down to the evolving eating habits of its people and those quiet shifts happening in daily life. It's been quite a journey.
Our goal with the deep dive really is to show you how understanding these individual nuggets of information, these distinct headlines, provides a much richer, more nuanced, and deeply interconnected picture of a complex and rapidly evolving country.
It's about connecting the dots, isn't it? Across seemingly disparate areas to reveal that larger narrative.
Exactly. Because in a country like India, everything truly is interconnected, or at least it often feels that way.
Yeah, the performance of the cricket team can indeed reflect national morale. Political decisions certainly echo deeply in military strategy, and ancient genetics can, surprisingly, inform modern health trends. It's a constant interplay.
As we've seen today, India is a nation of immense contrast, relentless dynamism, and just fascinating complexities. What stands out to you listening right now as the most surprising or perhaps the most impactful trend shaping its future after exploring these diverse headlines?
Or maybe think about how these seemingly individual headlines might converge, how they might interact to paint a larger narrative for India in the coming years. What ripple effects might we anticipate from these current events, and how might they shape the nation's trajectory on the global stage?
Good questions. We encourage you to keep thinking, keep connecting those dots, and keep exploring these incredible stories.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.